Behind the genius of Lennon and McCartney was a bond that couldn't survive the very success they helped create. What happens when friendship, fame, and creativity collide at the highest level? The story of Paul McCartney and John Lennon's fractured partnership is as heartbreaking as it is legendary. Paul McCartney and John Lennon are remembered as one of the greatest songwriting duos of all time. As the core creative force behind the Beatles, they penned a catalog of hits that shaped generations. But beneath the harmony of their music was a relationship slowly unraveling, one that wouldn't survive the band's eventual implosion. Their musical journey began in 1957, when they met at a church fair and quickly bonded over their love of rock and roll. From those early days, they discovered an uncanny ability to complement each other's strengths. If one got stuck on a lyric or melody, the other would instinctively know how to move it forward. They were more than collaborators. They were creative soulmates who pushed each other to new heights. McCartney would later reflect that writing with Lennon felt like a once-in-a-lifetime privilege. To him, having shared that experience was not only rare, but monumental, something he felt could define a life's worth of accomplishment on its own. But even the strongest bonds can break. Tensions began rising within the Beatles over issues like artistic direction, money, and management. One of the biggest rifts emerged when Lennon started bringing his partner, Yoko Ono, into the studio. McCartney struggled with how quickly Lennon's focus shifted away from the band and toward his new relationship. Their songwriting sessions grew rare, and McCartney sensed that the magic they once shared was fading. Meanwhile, Lennon began to feel creatively constrained. He didn't agree with the musical direction the band was taking, one he believed was increasingly dominated by McCartney's vision. Eventually, in September 1969, Lennon walked away from the group. Though he was asked to keep it quiet, McCartney later hinted at the split during a promotional Q&A for his debut solo album. Things quickly escalated when McCartney filed a lawsuit to legally dissolve the Beatles' business partnership, naming not only his bandmates, but also their controversial manager, Alan Klein. This move shocked the others, and particularly angered Lennon, deepening the divide between the two. In the early 1970s, the animosity spilled into the public. Lennon made a series of harsh comments about McCartney in interviews, and even took direct aim at him through music. In his song, How Do You Sleep, Lennon dismissed McCartney's work, implying that his only real achievement had been the song Yesterday. For McCartney, hearing such words from someone he had once trusted so deeply was devastating. He admitted that these attacks hit harder than any critique from journalists or fans. Lennon's voice carried weight, and McCartney feared that such criticisms would permanently damage how people saw him, not just as an artist, but as a person. He described the hurt as something that clung to him, like mud flung against a wall. Their private interactions were no less tense. Whenever McCartney called Lennon while visiting New York, he was often met with hostility. He later described those conversations as deeply unsettling, recalling how Lennon's tone could turn sharp and accusatory, leaving him nervous and full of self-doubt. At times, McCartney felt like he was in the wrong just for trying to reach out. What had once been a powerful creative alliance had soured into mistrust and bitterness. The man he once considered his greatest partner had become someone who made him feel anxious and insecure. The story of Lennon and McCartney's falling out is a reminder that even the most brilliant partnerships are vulnerable to ego, emotion, and change. Their legacy as songwriters is timeless, but the scars left by their personal rift were real, raw, and for many years unresolved.